my beef with the beauty industry, which I love, is it's generally run by middle-aged white men.
Yeah.
We don't compute.
Welcome to the Pro Beauty Pod. I'm Eve, editor of Professional Beauty, and together with my team we'll be bringing you insight and opinion on the hottest issues and the latest developments in beauty, spa, nails and aesthetics, as well as chatting with industry leaders and innovators about the secrets of their success. Thanks for listening, we hope you enjoy it. As I mentioned, this episode was recorded live and there is some strong language, so please be aware of that, especially if you have any younger beauty fans listening with you.
You've obviously had a very varied career in the beauty industry. You started on retail counters.
I did.
You've done training. You've done, worked with brands. You've worked as a therapist. Can you tell us a little bit about your early days? How you got into it? What made you fall in love with skin?
My mum and grandmother were both in the beauty industry. Mum did more makeup. My grandmother did more fragrance. So it's quite nice that I ended up doing skin. We've kind of encapsulated it, but it was weirdly never discussed as something I might do as a job, ever.
Okay.
Never. I wanted to be a teacher. No. Then I wanted to be a midwife. Then I had kids. And so when my two eldest boys at the time were young and my youngest at the time started school part-time, I said, I need a Saturday, Sunday job. And I phoned my girlfriend because I was always following, back in the day in department stores, before Space NK and Sephora and all of that, you would just find your person. And I followed a girl called Lorraine at Clarins, and every time they moved her to like a bigger counter, I'd go. And Clarins are the king or the queen of sampling. So I'd buy one moisturizer and she'd give me like a bag full of samples, and it was like porn. And then she was working for Vagaro in Harvey Nichols, and she said, we've got a vacancy actually for a Saturday, Sunday girl, as it was called back in the day, because God forbid a man do that role. And I did it. And on the first day I loved it. And on the second day, because back in, I'm talking, what was it, in the 90s, Sunday was a quiet day.
Yeah.
They were trialing retail on a Sunday, if you can remember that. And on the Sunday, the girl I was supposed to be working with phoned in sick. And I took more money on the Sunday than the whole team had taken on the Saturday.
Wow.
And I lost my voice for 2 weeks. And I loved it. And I basically, the day I was on counter on my own, I was like, I'm never going to do anything else except beauty ever again.
Amazing. And here you are.
And here I am, grandmother with rickety hips. Don't wear heels, girls, don't wear heels. Stick to flat shoes, trust
Always.
me.
So I suppose, how did you get from there to here? There's lots of steps along the way, but was there kind of a turning point that made you, and made your career?
I did the traditional route. I was the weekend girl, quote. Then I became the business manager, because at the time that my son Daniel went to school full time, the business manager walked out. That should have been a sign. But I was like, I can do this job. And they gave me the job. I couldn't believe it. So I was on the Aveda counter in Harvey Nichols. It was their number 2 account in the country. And they let the weekend girl be the business manager. Then I went from there to Space NK. Then I went from Space NK as a manager to running Chantecaille. And then I was on the Fenwick counter. I was running the UK, but I was based in Fenwick because it was their first standalone counter. And I noticed that the weekly figures, it was whoever was doing facials was number 1.
Okay.
So I was like, why aren't we doing facials?
Yeah.
And they were very French, Oh, darling, if you would like to do it, you can do it for us. And so I devised their facials and ended up taking the facials and doing the training around the world and all that sort of stuff. And then from there, I just kind of moved up, and I very, very quickly realized, shocking, I know, that corporate wasn't for me. Because my beef with the beauty industry, which I love, is it's generally run by middle-aged white men.
Yeah.
We don't compute, because they see numbers and footfall and AOV, and they've never touched a person in their lives. And they've never stood on the shop floor in their lives. Lauder still do it, bless them, where at Christmas time there's a week where everyone in head office has to go to counter. And they do it because it's like a niche and fun thing to do. And I used to be insulted. I'd be like, because they're like, oh, I'm on counter today.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, good. Try touching someone. Try interacting with a human being, So that's because hair is sweeping generalization, but there's a lot of gay men in hair.
Yeah.
The gays rule hair. That's why hair's fun and funky and bright colored. But I feel like in beauty, it's always been what you do if you can't do anything else. And that is the same with hair. When I was with Sam McKnight, we were at number 10 last October. And he said, I'm tired of us being seen as what you do if you can't get any qualifications.
100%, yeah.
And we were just like, it's outrageous. Everyone I know in this industry is passionate about it, you know? Not everyone wants to sit at a desk 9 to 5, you know? So, yeah, I very much was not corporate. And then I was in my last job and I just thought, the way you treat people is not anything I want to be associated with. And I left and started my own consulting. And then blogging came around and I started the blog in April 2010. So
Okay.
15 years ago.
Yeah, so one of the real kind of front runners in that.
And I think if
growth.
I'd have done what everyone else did, which was nails, hair, general beauty, makeup, I probably wouldn't be here now. But because I stuck to skincare, and let's face it, it's a miracle I've got a career because I went through perimenopause online. You can see, I start off looking like this, and then I go like this, and I'm very tired and very moody, and I've got bags under my eyes, and then I start to sort of go down in size again, and that's just me living the life that we all do, you know?
Yeah.
But no one was talking about it back then.
Yeah.
So I would get people saying, you're always saying you're tired on YouTube. And I was like, I am. I'm always tired. And now I'm the other side of it. And I've got HRT. Now I feel better than I did 15 years ago. I know that's not what you asked me, but once you're on HRT, it's a different level.
But that's good to know because this is my journey now, so we're good. Which kind of also leads me to the next question. You've obviously now got a huge social media profile, a massive following. What do you think is the secret to longevity? Because obviously you've been doing this a long time. You've been online a long time. What do you think is the secret to longevity? Because I think there's lots of people out there trying to do it. There's lots of beauty therapists out there trying to make a name for themselves.
In terms of online or just in the business, it's passion and authenticity. You know, for all of my faults, I've never been anything but myself. So and because I'm now older and very comfortable with myself, I wasn't when I was perimenopausal. You know, you don't really know who you are and what you're doing. Your brain's like a plate of spag bol, if I'm being honest. You're lucky if you remember what day it is. But I think if I deviated and if I didn't have the passion, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
And it also helped being a moody perimenopausal woman who could shout at Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, that raises the profile, doesn't it? That gets you.
And it's weird because I can honestly say hand on heart, you couldn't plan for the trajectory of success that I had from blogging and the books and all of that. It's just things happen and it builds and then you keep that audience and then things happen and that builds and you keep that audience. And I think it's just, I'm me. I've never tried to be, who has the time to try and pretend to be something they're not?
Yeah.
I don't. And the most, and then of course when COVID happened and lockdown happened and Boris Johnson, that wanker, when he was coming for the beauty industry and he opened bookies, barbers and betting shops, the 3 Bs we used to call them, and said you could have a beard trim, but you couldn't go and have like a chin wax or...
It was insane.
And my biggest live on Insta ever was me at 5 p.m. wearing a mask saying, how the fuck are you going to trim this, Boris, you prick? And that brought me like a different level of awareness because like Millie from the British Beauty Council would feed me info, not like behind the door, like she'd hear from Parliament and tell me what was going to happen at 5. So I'd go live at 5 and tell my industry what was happening to them, which is outrageous really. But it was when he was joking in Parliament about, we should get our hair done.
Yeah. And calling it beauty parlours. And we're like,
I can't. Even now if I saw him in the street, my team know they have to get in front of me. Because I'd throat punch him. Because, I am passionate about this industry and the people in this industry, which let's face it, is predominantly women. And a lot of you are single mums because a lot of people you have on stand, you do it because it's something you love it and that you do. And then you find yourself a single parent and then you go back to work and you can control your own income. And then if it's not and you're a businesswoman who's got a 10-room cabin or a 1-room in your garden, I don't give a shit. You are my people. And if he's coming for you, he's got to go through me. And good luck with that, you prick. Other than that, the Tories love me.
100%.
Sorry about the language, Eve. She's like, we were filming this. We can't use any of that now. Thank you, Caroline.
No, but it's like you say, it's authenticity. We want to see the real you.
I am authentically annoyed by the Conservative Party, yes.
100%. I suppose with social media, obviously, staying on the topic of social media, we've seen a lot of clients be influenced by skinfluencers, if you like, out there, who don't necessarily have that training and a beauty therapy background. How can beauty therapists cut through that and, kind of get their name out there and make people understand that they're the experts and to listen to them and not to listen to these people that claim to be experts but often aren't?
I mean, please don't get me started. So, I've been in the industry for nearly 30 years, and my basic training with SIBTAC, as you know, is like 300 hours basic training, and I did 2 nights a week in Steiner, which someone said to me earlier, Steiner, nothing finer. I was like, wow, okay, now I feel old. And so I even now get people going, oh, well, XYZ says that this is really good for spots. And I'm like, well, go and listen to XYZ then, but I've got bras older than her. You have to know who you are, what you are. And if you are on Instagram, for example, I would put it in your bio, qualified, verified, insured, and maybe a middle finger. Well, no, that could just be me. But tell them I am qualified, I'm verified, I've got insurance. Like, scream about your education, scream about your qualifications, because these bitches don't care. They, when people say, oh, how do I know who I should go to for Botox? I'm like, well, don't do it where they're serving champagne in a garden. Don't do it in a hotel room. Like, go and see someone who has maybe a certificate on the wall, But you have to push back. You have to push back. And I think the other side of it is, because a lot of us in the industry are female, there's that, and especially British, I don't want to get ideas above my station. Have ideas about your station, not above your station. Shout about what you do, because the men do. Trust me. Shout about what you do. Put your qualifications all over your Instagram.
That's great advice. And I think particularly because people have such a limited attention span, don't they? If they're looking online, they might be scrolling, they might see your reel. You need to be there going, this is who I am, this is why you need to listen to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think everyone in the audience is really excited about the launch of Skin Rocks Pro. This is why you're here. This is what this weekend's all about. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? You've said that you're here to disrupt the industry with Skin Rocks Pro. How are you going to do that?
I didn't say that. Your magazine said that, for starters. But I said, I think we are going to be disruptive because in my experience, and the people we've been speaking to over the last 2 days as well, there's been a bit of a hierarchical attitude with the bigger brands who are in the industry, who will, you're lucky if you get them. The attitude is you're lucky to have us. We won't come to you if you're a one-man band. You have to place a £10,000 minimum order and all this bullshit. And then the irony is, you take that brand and then you go on, you give someone a facial, you give them a list of products, and then they go online and they can get it 20-30% off on Face the Future. How is that doing you any good for your business? Well, I launched retail first, very specifically, just 2 retailers, no one that does discount. We've said no to every single other retailer in the UK, because I knew Pro was coming and I wanted to keep something for the Pro world. And we're coming at it with the attitude of, thank you for considering our product. It has to be the other way around. The arrogance is what's made this a nice big beige gap for our brightly coloured selves.
This episode is sponsored by Vagaro software. If you're a beauty business professional, it's no secret that the job demands wearing many hats for all of your scheduling, marketing, accounting, you know the drill. That's why Vagaro's all-in-one platform helps you manage your calendar, payment processing, marketing and more for your business all in one place. So there's no need to have multiple tools to manage your business anymore. Save yourself the headache and try Vagaro for 30 days for free at vagaro.com/pro.
Moving on to, obviously yesterday you appeared on our Trends and Techniques stage, and as you said at the time, you're very vocally anti-trend.
I know, I was like, why are you asking me to be on the trend stage when I basically say I hate trends?
So are there any current skincare trends that, or ingredients that you want to avoid, that make you cringe, make you angry when you see them?
At-home microneedling. To be honest, if it's a trend, I'm probably not going to like it. It's that simple. Because to me, there's no longevity in a trend. But then I'm wrong in some ways, because if you think about it, there was a time where dermaplaning was a trend, and now it's just part of your everyday offering, But I think if you follow trends, you run the risk of the sort of detriment to your business in terms of time lost with your team who have to go out and train, money lost while they're out training, and then when the trend filters off, is it going to become like just dead money, a money pit?
Absolutely. And when everybody else is doing the trend that
when everyone else is doing the same thing, yeah.
Absolutely. There's also, as we've spoken about briefly, a growing overlap between beauty therapy and aesthetic medicine. Where do you think the line needs to be drawn? How much can beauty therapists do? How much should be the preserve of medics? And how can we, I suppose, retain the things that beauty therapists should do and do well?
I mean, to my mind, if you're going to do something that can cause an immediate medical issue, then you should be medical of some sort. I mean, that's kind of broad, but, there's nothing to stop me doing Botox or filler, but I would never. If you're someone who offers Botox and that person goes into anaphylactic shock, how are you going to deal with that if you're not a medic? So, equally, there are people like, say, Teresa Tami, who's been doing laser for 20, 25 years, and if this new legislation comes in and the doctors all do this because they want to make the money, make no mistake, they don't want to do it because they love doing the treatments. They want to keep the money for themselves. And that's what we're working against. It's trying to get the balance of, self-regulation is clearly not working because we have people passing away from having a BBL in a garage. So, but we need some guidelines, but what I'm absolutely going to go to my grave fighting is letting the medics take all the work away from us, frankly. What are you going to be left with, nails and waxing?
Yeah.
Great, but that's not going to make enough money to feed your kids, is it? Let's face it. So it's finding the fine line, but with the aesthetics, because I'm actually in Scottish Parliament next week with Leslie from Babtac, just talking about, again, this is why I'm screaming about making sure everyone knows your qualifications, making sure it's, you have it everywhere, because that is what is going to distinguish you. Because when the legislation does come in, even if they are an MD, they are still going to have to go back and start at level 2. Imagine that. So that's what's going to put them off. They're going to have to do what you've already done.
Yeah. And
Not that I would enjoy that, but...
But exactly, and be proper experts in skin, that's
So I think the more that we can be, we're professional, you have to push back with confidence.
Yeah, 100%.
But just don't do anything that I'm not too sure I should be doing this.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I think that there's a movement towards that definitely within the beauty industry. I think most beauty therapists are now like, we want to do the advanced treatments, but there is, there's a level and there's a sensible level, 100%. Again, we've touched on this a bit. You've built a powerful personal brand. Personal brands are really important now, I think, for the beauty industry. What advice would you give to somebody who's trying to do that? Someone who, as a facialist or, as a beauty therapist, is looking to kind of grow their personal brand online or, in person?
I have absolutely no idea. I don't know what I did. I was just me, and I happened to be online as Instagram was happening. I stayed on the Instagram path. My daughter is the TikTok generation, so she's got this huge profile on TikTok. There's nothing to do with me, because God knows I've got like 50,000 followers on TikTok. It's just not my genre. But in terms of personal brand, you just have to be authentic to who you are. You just have to show your personality, not be afraid of, if you're not good in front of the camera, then don't go in front of the camera. But if you're comfortable in front of the camera, then put yourself online, put yourself out there. But you just have to remain true to who you are.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of people find that quite difficult, while being their authentic selves, while also, I suppose, representing their business and, kind of trying to keep that professional edge as a salon owner. What's the line with that?
You can be professional when you're representing yourself. You don't have to act like a knob like I do sometimes.
Exactly. But get out there and do it.
Yeah, just get out there and get on with it, because, like you said earlier, the word I hate, the skinfluencer, I prefer to call them content creators. They have no problem in front of a camera, but when you meet them, very, very often when you meet them in real life, they have absolutely no social skills in terms of they don't know how to speak. They wouldn't be able to sit and do an audience of real life people.
Yeah.
So it's just a skill set they have. You either teach yourself the skill set, or what you put online reflects the treatment you've done that day. Or, it's a picture of your trolley, or it's a good picture of a fancy leg you've just done. Whatever it is, just put it out there and post regularly. Yeah. If I'm looking at someone's Insta and they haven't posted for 3 months, it's just dead in the water. You have to keep updated.
Fair. Yeah. Just do it.
Just do it.
I think a lot of people are quite interested in you and what you do. What is your own skincare routine? How have you kept your skin looking so amazing? Who do you go to for treatments?
Okay, I'm really bad. I just really don't.
Do you not?
No, I don't have time. But if I do, I'll go and see Teresa Tami, who nags me when she sees me. You haven't been to see me? And I'm like, I haven't got time. And she's like, you better come in. But I am going to go and see her because I've got to do some hair removal, because the joy of HRT is that your hair grows back, but it grows on your chin. So I am going to go in and see her. But I'm all for and also because I've got ADHD, I'm the worst person to give a body treatment to.
Oh, okay, relaxing.
I can't switch off.
Yeah.
So if, people are like, oh, I had a massage, it was lovely. And I'm like, oh, God. Because I immediately go into things. My brain goes, I've got to do that, and then I'll do that. I've got to do the Ocado. Like, my brain is gone. So I'm not the best. But I love reflexology. I love getting my nails done. I'm just the worst person to relax. And because I know that you're supposed to relax, I'm like a makeup artist that doesn't wear makeup. Pointless.
But yeah, when you start thinking, right, time to relax.
I'm looking forward to having treatments all the time as we're doing our training and the girls are working out. We're working out the routines on me. I'll be like,
and they'll be terrified.
No, they won't.
And what about products then and ingredients? What are kind of the key ingredients that you couldn't live without?
Things we've got in the brand, to be honest: acids, retinoids, vitamin C. Everything that you would put into a quote-unquote anti-aging serum. So I know we're all supposed to say SPF, but I come from the point of thinking that it should be second nature.
Yeah.
The fact that we have to keep saying it is quite disheartening, because especially if you're offering a treatment that can leave someone's skin exposed, unless you're going to sell them a baseball cap, you should be putting SPF on them. So that's like a by the by.
Yeah.
But in terms of like making a skin look good in 3 minutes, acid, vitamin C and retinoids.
Excellent. One thing I wanted to ask, we've all made mistakes in our careers. We've all done things that we not necessarily regret, but have learned from. Whoever you are and wherever you are, what's one mistake you've made in your career that has become a valuable learning experience?
To quote Helen Mirren, I didn't tell enough people to fuck off. Genuinely, I let too many people get away with too much for too long, and that's how I ended up working for myself. So that's honestly it. And that's when I saw her say that, she said she would turn 70. I was like, do you have any advice for anyone? She was like, yes, you should tell more people to fuck off. And I was like, she is on the money.
Yeah,
there are plenty
enough.
of people in the industry that know they're on my shit list. I'll publish the book when I'm dead, then no one can get sued.
Excellent. No, that's good
He's
advice.
like, excellent, okay.
But I think we all can probably relate to that. There's certainly some people
it's a nicer way of saying make sure you
like
stand up for yourself, make sure you know your values, don't let yourself be treated badly. Again, because if you look at the way that the waterfall comes down, it's middle-aged white men making decisions about your future. That's, if you look at all the big companies, and the reason we've got a point of difference is that with Skin Rocks, I am the face of the brand. So if someone comes, so let's say you take on the brand and you do a treatment, if the customer's not happy with it, the first thing they're going to do is DM me. I'll be like, oh, God, Rachel in Tunbridge Wells isn't happy. But, I get that anyway. But, it's just being confident in yourself and knowing that talking confidently about your skill set isn't arrogance, it's confidence.
Yeah, and that's a difficult thing. I think there's a lot of people with imposter syndrome in the industry, and it can be a hard thing to overcome.
I think, I was interviewed recently, and they said, wasn't you, was it, when we did the magazine?
It might have been.
And they said, how do you get past imposter syndrome? And I said, I don't know, I don't have it. I don't have it. I know what I am, I know who I am, I know what I can do, I know what I can't do. And that there is certainly a bit of that comes with age. But if you don't feel like you belong somewhere, ask yourself why. And is it your own insecurity? Do you belong there, or are you being made to feel that you don't belong there by a third party? But I don't have imposter syndrome.
Well, that's
and
good.
that's not
good.
Arrogance, that's just confidence, because I am also very confident in what I don't know. If someone comes up to me and asks me about the latest laser, I'm like, actually, I don't know. Let me ask,
Yeah, but that's it. It's about, knowing your strengths, staying in your lane, and having confidence. Last question from me before we take some from the audience. If you could change one thing about the beauty industry overnight, what would it be?
Men. And I say that with love. I have a lovely husband. I have 3 children. I work with great men. But in terms of, I'm talking about from the point of view of the experience that you have. Because, as much as there are men in our industry, how many of them wax a fanny regularly? How many of them give facials? Not that many. This is very much our industry. If it was gaming, if we thought like men, we would own it, And I think we need more ownership. And that's why my face is on the screen, although I hate looking at it. I'm like, Jesus, could they make my face any bigger? But at least it's me going, yes, this is us, this is me, this is what we do. You know, I think ownership is key.
Absolutely. And I think, as Dominic Skinner touched on just before we
we
came
love Dom.
on,
He doesn't count. He's not a man. He's Dom.
as he said, if the beauty industry was dominated by men, it would be taken so much more seriously than it is. It's a huge industry.
100%.
It contributes to masses to the economy.
£29 billion.
Yeah, we are done then. Thank you so much, Caroline. It's been amazing. I think we've all learned a lot and we've all got lots of ideas to take back. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, everyone.
But thank you very much, and thanks everyone for coming to see us.